Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoint and welcome to my first video of the year. And we are kicking it off with my top tips on upgrading or improving your gaming setup. These are the ideas and hacks that will take your setup to the next level, and some of these will cost you literally nothing at all. So if you want to start the year by improving that setup, hopefully today's video will help you out. As always, I've linked to everything that we cover below, and if you do follow any of these tips, make sure you tag me on Twitter or Instagram with photos of your setup. Right, so the very first thing that we have to talk about, and one that's often overlooked, is cable management. It doesn't matter how nice your chair or monitor is, or how much you've spent on your PC. If you've got cables everywhere and hanging down like it's spaghetti junction, it will instantly make your setup look untidy. I actually spend far too long on my 3 setups hiding as many cables as possible, but I think it's always worth it. Now there are several ways that you can sort the cables in your setup, starting with the least expensive options first, and that's to use cable ties, tape, or these plastic clips. I've used a combination of these in my setups for years, and it's the easiest way to keep those loose cables in place. So here I have a cable that's hanging down on my work setup, and I've used a few of these plastic clips to keep them attached to the side of the leg. The reason I like these is you can insert and remove the cables pretty easily, and you can even use them to hold your power packs and extension cables under the desk as well. Another option is to use these magnetic cable ties. These small rubbery cables have magnets on either end, and you can actually use them to wrap around the cables and attach them to your desk. Or of course you could just strap them to each other to keep those cables looking neater. Now not only are these reusable, but you can use them instead of cable ties for storing cables in your drawer. So even if you don't need them for your desk setup, they are definitely worth having. Then if you have multiple cables hanging down like power leads, speaker cables, HDMIs and so on, you've got the option of using something like this. This is a flexible cable trunking sleeve, so you could insert all of your cables and have just one cable hanging down instead. This is useful if you've got a standing desk as well, as you will need the flexibility where it moves up and down with the desk. Now I've seen loads of these, but this is probably the best looking one out there, and it's also weighted at the bottom so it should stay in place. Now these solutions are great for cables, but not so good if you've got power packs and extension cables that you're trying to hide. So that's where these cable trays come in use. This attaches to the underside of your desk with a couple of clamps, and it means you can slot your cables and extension sockets in and keep them off the floor. Now there are other options out there as well which will allow you to drill it to the bottom of your desk, but I think the clamp is probably the better option for most of us. Now on one of my older desks I actually used to stick the power packs to the underside using 3M tape, and this looks really clean. So if you'd rather not use a tray, this would be the cheaper option instead. Now the same tips can be applied to your TV setup as well, so keeping all of your cables out of sight will make it look so much neater. Hide those cables behind your speakers, clip those HDMI cables together, or just run one cable trunk into your TV. And if you've wall mounted your TV, maybe think about hiding your cables inside your wall. You could either hide a plastic tube inside the wall and feed your cables through like I've done before, or just chase out a section in your wall and seal them inside the wall instead. Either way, hiding your cables makes a huge difference to the setup. Of course, if you wanted to take your desk cable management to a whole new level and make it even easier for yourself, you could look at something like the Secretlab Magnus Pro desks. I've got the XL version here, and this comes with a tray across the back to hide everything. Now not only do I have the cables that go from my PS5 and Xbox to my monitor, but I have power sockets and various other plugs in here as well. All I need to do is hide them all inside this tray, and once I'm done just flip this lid down and everything is out of sight. No cable ties or sticky tape to worry about. Even the power cable is integrated into the desk, and as I've recently added the Ethernet adapter as well, I can use it with literally no cables hanging down at all. It also means that as this is a standing desk, there's no worries about the cables catching when it moves up and down. Now this is without doubt the best cable management solution I've ever seen in a desk, but this is also by far the most expensive option. Another tip for upgrading your gaming setup is to mount your monitor or TV to an arm or your wall. Both of these solutions will give it that floating screen look which instantly looks clean. Now most TVs and monitors of course come with their own stands or feet, and these look okay, but most of the time they are pretty limited in movement. On your TV setup you could mount your TV to your wall, which will not only allow you to position it at the perfect height for viewing, but it'll free up some space on your unit as well. Now the bracket that I'm using on my 77-inch LG G3 is from Envision, and this gives me full control over how I wish to angle or tilt the screen. It also means I can pull it out to swap any of the cables when needed. The same goes for monitors. Attaching your monitor to a standard VESA bracket means you're able to position it exactly how you need it. You can change the height, pivot and tilt it until you're 100% happy with it. Now the arm that I'm using is the Secretlab Magnus arm, and this simply clamps to the back of the desk and we're able to attach it to any VESA compatible monitor. Also, as it has cable management trunking built in, it looks really clean as well. Now, I've had a few different monitor arms, and for me this is the best one that I've used. But of course there are cheaper and non-branded arms out there which I have linked to below. But yeah, adding a monitor arm really does change the whole look of your setup. Now here's another tip to completely transform your setup within a few seconds, and that's lighting. So during the day I usually have my setup set to white to give it that fresh cool vibe. This is done with all of the lights in my room, from lamps to ceiling bulbs, but they all create a pretty normal colour tone. Ideal for working and being productive, but not so great if you want that gaming vibe. Well, the good news is this can all be changed relatively easily with coloured bulbs. So in my living room this is how it looks during the day, and this is how it looks at night. And the same in my gaming setup. This is how it looks during the day, and then this is how it looks at night. And this is all done with a few simple bulbs. First, in the living room I've placed one of these Govee Lyra lamps to the left of my TV, and you can set this to any colour combo that you'd like. Then behind the TV I've got an LED strip also from Govee. This one can be set to any colour theme that you would like, and it will react to whatever's plugged in via HDMI. So anything my PS5 is showing is replicated behind the TV, and this is called Govee's AI Sync Box. But then of course standard bulbs are the easiest thing to change, as if you have lamps already in your room you can just swap these out. It's also a cool way of controlling the vibe of a room without making it look too tacky or over the top. And then next to my gaming desk I also have some of these Y lights on my wall, and this adds a nice glow as well as being fully customizable in their app. So yeah, I really believe that lighting can completely transform any setup. Now, you don't want your gaming or TV setups to look too minimal. I mean, you don't want to look like an NPC. So add some personality and accessorize a little. This could be pop figures for your favourite character, some artwork for a game that you're really into, or even a collector's edition statue. I've got my shelves packed with random items for games that I'm into, like the God of War Jotnar Edition hammer, the Last of Us Ellie statue, and the Spider-Man 2 Venom statue. These are those accessories that add a personal touch and kind of show you what games you're into or the type of gamer that you are. Any guesses where I live in the UK? Now of course you don't need a full dedicated shelving unit for this. It could be a single frame on your wall or something like these wooden PlayStation icons under your TV. Something that is unique or identifies you. I mean, if you look at my TV setup, other than those wooden icons and the PS5, there's nothing else on here that really says I'm into gaming, so they really can be subtle accessories. Also, if you do have controllers or headsets in your setup, I would recommend adding stands or brackets to keep them looking tidy. I'm currently using the Astro A50X, so of course they do come with their own dock, but something like the Nova Pro sit nicely on these Grove made stands. Same goes for the controllers, either stick them on a charging dock or a wooden stand from Geek Made Designs. If there's any way that you can add items or accessories to your setup to give it that personal touch, I would definitely do that. So this next one might seem obvious, but you've got to keep your setups looking clean. Like grab that microfiber cloth and give it a dust. Wipe down your screen, your consoles and clean those controllers. Vacuum or mop your floor and clean your chair. Use coasters for your drinks, wipe your screen with distilled water. Remove that clutter that you don't need. It doesn't take much to keep on top of this, but as soon as you see a dirty or a grubby desk, it kind of looks uncared for. Now doing this will instantly make you feel better as well, and as they say, clean space, clean mind and all that. Also, it's only a small thing, but try to keep your setup as organised as possible. So make sure your monitor is level and not tilted. Straighten up those accessories or boxes, keeping everything in line and tidy. I've got a few items sitting here on my desk, but just spending a few minutes to make sure they're all lined up and straight makes all the difference. Now combine all of this and you have a setup that could go from looking like this to this. They are all minor changes, but again it changes the overall look and gives the impression that you really do care. And do you really need all of those items on your desk? As mentioned, it's nice to have accessories and some personality in your setup, but go over the top and it could start to look tacky. I actually rarely have things sitting on my desk or under my TV, but I will have my shelves in each room packed with merch and items that I like to show. Even this might be a bit too much for most people, as there's definitely a fine line before it starts to look a total mess. Now I'm really happy with how my setups have turned out. So hopefully with the tips and tricks that I've shown you today, this will help improve your own gaming setups as well. Now of course, if you wanted to know more about my setup and everything that I've used, I actually did a full desk tour on it last year. But I do have plans in 2024 to make some changes, so watch this space. Now drop a clean gaming setup in the comments and I'll give you a thumbs up for staying right till the end. And if you did enjoy today's video, check out my best 2023 games video next, as that covers my top 10 games that are still worth playing today. Thanks for watching, please like, sub and follow me everywhere. Until next time.